Okay, third take is a charm. So what we're looking at here is my kids' pool, and I have installed a filter or a system onto it, which also has a waterfall. So I'm going to explain kind of all of the components and what's going on, and then if you got some questions, just feel free to ask. I'll try and tell you everything that I know. So first of all, the main PVC is all 1 inch. The fittings that came with my pump fit perfectly around the 1 inch with or without the clamps. I did use a clamp on the pressure side, but not on the suction side. So it seems to be fine. There's no leaks so far, and I don't have any worries about that. This top piece is schedule 40 1.5, and the rest of it is not schedule 40. It's not running a lot of pressure, so it doesn't matter. In fact, it's never really pressurized at all. So this particular unit over here, let me run around. This is a C1000. I got this thing off of Amazon. It's an Intex, and it's just a 1,000 gallon per hour pool pump. I wouldn't recommend it for anything larger than, these small pools, but it works for this situation. Prior to this, I used the 5-gallon bucket method with some polyfill. And it worked really good, but it was just god-awful ugly, and it was set on top of this. So I wanted to kind of minimize and make a little waterfall. So essentially what we have here is an intake. I've taken a Gatorade bottle and attached it to a piece of pipe. And so it kind of creates a funnel / really nice cyclone effect. So you can really tell that the water's sucking. If the water level goes down, you have to be careful when you're doing this. Otherwise, you can just leave the suction on the bottom. I have found that this helps to really suck the debris off of the top of the water. So that's one benefit to it. So it goes in there into the suction of the pump, and then it goes out the pressure side, which runs along the bottom here and then into this. And with this valve open, it just goes out of that 90, and I kind of have it going this way. So it circulates the water around the pool, and it also moves the debris kind of in a pattern that eventually, in theory, will eventually kind of make its way over to this and get filtered out. It does a really good job. This thing was fairly dirty earlier. The kids played in it, mixed it all up, and a lot of the debris that was on the floor, it gets caught up in those little ripples on the floor. But it moved around, and a lot of it got sucked out. So the way that it works, again, we're sucking here, we're pushing here, and we have this thing in the middle. So this is only for priming the system. If it gets empty or whatever, use this to fill the pipes, and that allows you to get the air out of that, et cetera, et cetera. If you're familiar with this process, you'll know what I'm talking about. That's really just a fill. This is a 3D printed piece that I made, but you could use, just a cap or whatever. I just, fancy, right? 3D printer. This is, again, schedule 40. And then I use this idea from a YouTuber. It's like a corrugated sign, and then you kind of shave the top lip off, leaving the fins, and then it's actually kind of sunk into this PVC. I just used my table saw, and I ripped a seam along there, and then used some sealer to kind of seal it. And then when you turn it on and you close the main valve, it actually has a really nice wide waterfall effect. The pump was actually, if I had just used 1 inch, the waterfall would be much better. I recommend, if you don't want the bulkiness, that you use the 1 inch, and you'll probably get a much more solid waterfall. I don't know, because I'm no professional at that by any means. But once you're done, you just open the main valve for the pool, close that valve, and then the flow begins again. And one cool benefit to that would be aeration. When the water hits, it actually creates bubbles, which in turn is aeration. So you're putting oxygen into the water, thus, making it last longer. It's less likely to develop algae and all of that. So my kids really enjoy this. The chlorine thing is just a standard chlorine floater with a 3-inch tab in it. I haven't done any pH tests on this ever. This water has been in here for like 3 weeks, I want to say. I bet it's probably off as far as pH goes. I probably could do a test and get it right, and it probably clear it up even more. But again, kids swim in this daily. They're dirty kids, so for it being as clean of water as it is, for as long as it has been in there, I would say that my system is working. Again, prior to this, I was using a 5-gallon bucket and some polyfill, and it just sat up on there, and I had a pump, and the pump was actually in the pool, and I was really worried about an electrocution risk and all of that. So I wanted to get the electricity outside of the pool to be safe so my kids don't get shocked, and also wanted a little bit more power, and I wanted to, it's pretty as opposed to a big gaudy looking thing. But as you have watched this, you've seen this ChemGuard, this chlorine thing. It has actually made its way all the way around the pool, so you can see that I have great flow going. Definitely recommend. Just to kind of go over numbers, that ranges between I've seen it for $50 and I've seen it for $90 on Amazon. It literally was in my cart for, I think it was $60, and then the next day I went to buy it and it was $90, and I'm like, well, that's silly. So I went back the next day, it was like $65. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but it fluctuates. The PVC, again, all 1-inch. These things are $5 a piece. So that kind of gives you an idea. I got 3 of those, 15 in that. I mean, there's probably a good $50 in attachments and all of that. Parts list, it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 elbows, 90-degree elbows. 1, 2, 3, 4 standard tees. This is a 1-inch to 1.5-inch adapter with a plug. Again, these are all 1-inch ball valves, and that tubing came with it. It does come with some nice clamps as well. Yeah, I think that's all. Again, this is 1.5-inch, so a cap on this side. So yeah, 9 elbows, 4 tees, 3 valves, a 1 to 1.5 adapter or tee with a cap and a round cap. And then you would need either a cap for this or some kind of tee or something. I don't know, unless you got a 3D printer, I'll gladly share that design. But yeah, that should do it. As far as part list goes, I'll try and leave a part list. If I post this on YouTube, I'll put a part list in the description, so that way it'll help. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little explanation. Keep your pools clean, keep your kids happy. I know that I have seen some pretty nasty kids pools, and mine have been nasty. We've all been there. So it's just a little bit of work for a lot less water expense if you're paying for city water. It saves you, this would probably be the 3rd or 4th time we would have filled this. So good luck and have fun with it.